A mob boss had a burning question. What is the answer to 1 plus 1? Eager to find out, he summoned 3 gangsters to get the answer.
First up was the engineer, who seemed perplexed by the strange request but agreed to try it. He pulled out all his measuring equipment and paper and got to work. After a few hours of intense calculations, he finally had an answer. He went to the boss and said, given that this angle equals that angle but does not equal that side because it is neither round nor square, the answer is 2. The boss, not wanting to admit he had no idea what the engineer said, replied, okay, thanks. Go get yourself a drink in the casino below. Next, the boss called his lawyer to solve the problem. With his courtroom drama swagger, the lawyer confidently said it was no problem. A few days later, he returned with his answer. Your Honor, my client is innocent. The case of 7 versus 6, where 6 accused 7 of eating 9, proves that the guilty party is, in fact, 2, based on the evidence that even numbers are always at the crime scene. The boss was even more confused by this answer than the first one. Alrighty then, thank you. Go have a double on the rock at the casino bar, he said as the lawyer sauntered off with confidence, knowing only he understood his logic. Still searching for a clear answer, the boss called on his third goon, the accountant. The accountant sat across from the boss, ready to tackle the riddle. The boss asked the question and instructed the accountant to keep the answer short. The accountant pulled out a calculator from his pocket and placed it in front of him. He stood up, scanning the room, checking under the table, and looking in the light shades. On hands and knees, the accountant even searched the carpet. Finally, after a few awkward minutes, the accountant sat back down in front of the boss and leaned forward, whispering in the most breathless and intimate voice, "What do you want the answer to be?" Intrigued by the accountant's cryptic response, the boss chuckled and leaned back in his chair. "What do you mean? What do I want the answer to be?" he asked, trying to contain his amusement. The accountant smiled and replied, "Well, numbers are fascinating creatures. They can be whatever you want them to be if you manipulate them just right. Sure, 1 plus 1 can be 2. But it can also be 11 in binary or represent a mathematical equation with an infinite number of possible solutions." The unexpected answer took aback the boss, but he found himself intrigued by the mysterious demeanor of the accountant. "All right," the boss said, playing along. "Let's say I want the answer to be 3. The accountant nodded, his fingers dancing across the calculator's buttons. He mumbled some calculations under his breath, tapping into a realm of mathematical prowess that seemed almost otherworldly. The room fell silent as the accountant concentrated on his task. After a moment that felt like an eternity, the accountant looked up with a sly grin.
Okay.
"Free it is," he said with a wink. The boss couldn't believe his eyes. The accountant had somehow managed to turn 1 plus 1 into 3. He knew he had found the answer he was looking for, the elusive key to the universe that he didn't even know he was searching for. From that moment on, the accountant became the most valuable asset in the entire mafia organization. He could calculate profits and losses with lightning speed, uncover hidden financial schemes, and keep the mafia's books so well balanced that they seemed like works of art. The mafia's enemies trembled in fear, not just because of their muscle but also because of the secret weapon they possessed, the accountant. They soon earned a reputation as the world's most financially savvy crime syndicate. But despite their fearsome reputation, the accountant maintained his mild-mannered facade, never revealing his true abilities to the outside world. To everyone else, he was just an ordinary bean counter, crunching numbers in a modest office. One day, the boss called in his top 3 goons again, asking them to calculate the most critical equation: how to split a pizza among 9 hungry mobsters. The engineer started measuring the pizza's diameter. The lawyer presented a complex legal argument about pizza distribution rights, and the accountant smiled and said, "What do you want the answer to be?"